Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to answer the call of love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here. As we gather from across the country this beautiful April morning, the 10th anniversary weekend of the Boston Marathon bombing, we pause to honor and hold in our hearts those who awaken today in grief, especially the loved ones of those who were killed or wounded in the bombing. We remember those who were killed that day: Crystal Campbell, a 29-year-old restaurant manager; Lingzi Liu, a 23-year-old graduate student in statistics at Boston University; and 8-year-old Martin Richards, whose second grade school project was a poster with a peace sign with the words, "No more hurting people." We remember those who died in the aftermath: Sean Collier, a 29-year-old MIT police officer, and Dennis Simmons, a 28-year-old Boston police officer. We remember the wounded, over 281 civilians, including at least 16 who lost limbs. Their lives were changed forever. We remember the extraordinary courage of those who rushed in to help both first responders and civilians, and of the hospital staff working feverishly long after their shifts had ended. We remember the terrible grief of our city, the hundreds who gathered here in our sanctuary to mourn, and those who reached out to us from across the nation and the world. And we remember that 5 days after the bombing, the Boston Red Sox returned to Fenway, heartbroken and defiant, and Big Papi rallying the crowd with love and ultimately leading the Red Sox to a World Series victory, reminding us of our strength. Boston strong. American poet Adrienne Rich wrote, "My life is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who age after age perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world." Amen.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is our golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
As we gather, we acknowledge that Arlington Street Church occupies the ancestral homeland of the Massachusetts. By making this land acknowledgement, we recognize, honor, and affirm the sovereignty of all First Nations peoples. Dear ones, welcome to our Zoomers, welcome to the congregation gathered in the sanctuary, and a special welcome to the coming of age group here today from Schenectady, New York. Is that you guys? Great to see you. Welcome. Beautiful. We're thrilled you're here. Thank you to our artist in residence, Roger Vine. He'll be giving you a tour of the sanctuary afterwards. Glad you're here. I want to say a very special thank you to our volunteers in the sanctuary today, tech team, greeters, ushers, worship team. Our executive minister, Reverend Beth Robbins, is in the Zoom room and in the sanctuary this morning. She's her own hybrid experience. Our visionary tech team lead, Art Nava, has worked tirelessly to bring us to this great day. It is a special joy for me to welcome worship team member Marie O'Brien, who is sharing and leading today's service, zooming in from her home in Chicago. Bravo, and a huge thanks to Art and his entire team for their devotion to this hybrid platform. And thank you, Marie. It's all magic. Thanks to our collaborative pianist, Hyungjung Ryung. Thank you, Hyungju. Thank you so much to Andrew, baritone Andrew Stack. We had a lot of fun collaborating, putting together this service. We look forward to sharing it with you. Director of Music, Mark David Buckles, and the Arlington Street Choir are resting after their spectacular Easter cantata. To all our musicians, we are so grateful. Following the guidance of the Boston Public Health Commission and our COVID response team, we are now mask optional in the sanctuary. Masks are available at the great doors. Our greeters would be happy to help you. Physical distancing is encouraged in the balconies. If you need a mask, if the balcony isn't for you, if you'd like help finding the perfect seat, our ushers are at your service. And for those of you who are new to Arlington Street, a very special welcome. If you're in the sanctuary, there are welcome cards in the pew racks. You can hand yours to an usher or drop it in the basket at the great doors as you leave. And for those of you in the Zoom room, please fill out a connection card. The link is in the chat. It includes an option to request a link to a recording of today's sermon. Reverend Beth and I would love to follow up with a virtual hello. Whether you have been coming here for years or today is your first time at Arlington Street, welcome home.
Good morning, my friends. I'm Marie O'Brien, a member of the worship committee, zooming into Arlington Street from the heartland. Welcome. If you haven't already downloaded today's order of service, it's available in the chat and on the homepage at ascboston.org. Also on the homepage, you'll find a link to Sermon Bingo. Feel free to play along while Reverend Kim preaches. If you're in person, there are also printed copies of the order of service, the hymns, and Sermon Bingo at the great doors. As we begin our greetings today, I invite the Zoomers and those in the sanctuary with a device handy to please say hello in the chat and tell us where you're zooming in from today. And now, Rich is going to turn the camera on the incarnate congregation as you wave and smize at each other, as well as at our friends in the Zoom room. And all of us in the Zoom room can wave and smile back. Hello, friends. Let's all engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart. Our opening hymn today is Blue Boat Home, which will be led by Andrew Stack. In the chat, in the order of service, and also in the teal hymnal, number 1064. Let's rise in body, rise in spirit, and join in singing together, Blue Boat Home.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. I'm Art Nava, a member of the worship team and today's candles coordinator. These candles were submitted on our website by the Friday evening deadline. If you didn't submit your candle and you have a joy or sorrow to share this morning, please wait until the third candle is lit, the silent candle, and then type your joy or sorrow in the chat. Zoomers are invited to light silent candles at home. Those in the sanctuary are invited to light a silent candle at the table up front to the right of the Glesium podium. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Whether together or apart, may we stay very close. And now, in the spirit of invocation, let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary. For
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
We have a mixed candle from Lois Hartsoff. 10 years ago, I worked at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. As I write this, I tremble. I lift up all victims and families of the bombing. Many still carry disabilities from their injuries. I lift up the first responders and healthcare personnel at all the hospitals. Miraculously, all victims that were alive at the scene made it to a hospital and survived their immediate injuries. Finally, I lift up the nurses and other staff at Beth Israel Deaconess who provided care to the alleged bomber after his capture. It was a profound example of service I will never forget that week. A candle of healing from Harriet Hury for my dear elder brother as he recovers from hip replacement surgery in South Carolina. And a candle of healing for my daughter as she works through things for herself and her life. And a final candle of sorrow this morning is a mixed candle from Eleanor Nettleton. To the passing of a great being, Lama Zopa Rinpoche is a Tibetan Buddhist scholar and meditator who for over 30 years had overseen the spiritual activities of the extensive worldwide network of centers, projects, and services that formed the foundation for the preservation of the Mahayana tradition, which he founded with Lama Tupte Geshe. We can transform any problem, even death, into happiness. The point is not to stop the experience of problems, but to stop the conditions that we call problems from disturbing our mind, and instead use them to support the spiritual path that we practice. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, presente.
Presente.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary.
And some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
A candle of celebration for Orthodox Easter, love to all who celebrate. And a final candle of great joy to see our beautiful city teeming with people from all over the world who have come to run and celebrate the Boston Marathon. Good luck to all the runners.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary.
For all the sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, and for the world. Amen.
Let's join now in saying together the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación, y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Is anyone here running the marathon? Yes. Would you and your people just come meet me in the center of the center aisle, because we want to make a beautiful blessing on you. So let's sing, and you can just sort of make your way there. This is going to be fabulous. We're so glad you've come. Let's sing.
Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain.
Ready to go? This is very exciting. Will the Zoomers please face in the direction of Boston? And will everyone in the sanctuary please stand as you're willing and able and turn to face the marathoners here in the center. And I'm going to invite you to just open your hands. We know how to do this, and you're going to start channeling this beautiful blessing to this circle. Okay, you guys are going to feel it, and it is going to be amazing. All right. That's lovely. Great. Let's abide for a moment of silence now, with just one sentence from the very first book of Hebrews. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Beloved marathon runners, may the road rise up to meet you, the wind be always at your back, and may the love of this great gathered company, which we now convey through our hands, give you strength, uplift you, and carry you across the finish line with great, victorious joy. Bless your feet and bless your hearts. Godspeed. And let the people say amen. Amen. Bless your heart, bless your feet, bless your heart, bless your feet, bless your heart, bless your heart, bless your feet, bless your heart, bless your feet. Thank you, Mom. Beautiful, guys. We're so proud of you. Great to see you. Thanks, Andrew. To begin, 2 quick snapshots of practice. An 11-year-old is seated before his 83-year-old cello teacher. A child is sight reading a passage of music. He tries once, then again, and then a third time, and he just can't get it right. Grimacing, frustrated, he lays down his bow. The elderly teacher leans over and whispers with a smile in his voice, "What? You've been practicing it for 3 minutes and you still can't play it?" A woman is heading out on her first whitewater rafting trip. The guide stands in the aisle of the bus giving the safety talk. "If you fall out of the boat," she says, "pull up your feet so you don't get snared by the rocks on the bottom. Think toes to nose. Then look for the boat. Reach for an oar or a rope." She continues with the talk, punctuating it frequently with toes to nose. Look for the boat. Standing on the beach at the launch site with the river behind her, she asks, "What do you do if you fall out of the boat?" And the woman thinks, if I have to hear toes to nose, look for the boat one more time, I am going to lose my mind. A few miles downstream, the raft surges into Class 5 rapids. The woman feels herself vanishing into the wall of water that rose up at the stern, disappearing into a black hole. Roiling about under the churning water, there is no up, no down. There had never been a boat. There is no anywhere. From the void, the words surface. Toes to nose. She pulls herself into a ball. Air, sounds, look for the boat. Did that come from my head or was that someone calling? Out of the swirling chaos, an oar appears, and then suddenly she is back in the raft, traveling breakneck through a spew of foam. These days, that woman finds herself using the metaphor of being out of the boat for any situation in which we can't necessarily think our way back in. We have to rely on something that has been deeply established way in advance, she says, a practice, toes to nose. Look for the boat. Whatever gets you back on the water instead of under it, reoriented to the next possibility. This is the power of practice. This morning I want to share a little something about the practice of possibility. What would it mean to say in our lives, I am going to cast my lot with the possible? What would it mean to be proffered a maybe and lean into yes? I'm told this story is true. Early in the last century, a shoe factory sent 2 marketing scouts to a region of Africa to study the prospects of expanding their business. One sent back a dismal telegram saying, "Situation hopeless. Stop. No one wears shoes." The other wrote back triumphantly, "Glorious business opportunity. Stop. They have no shoes." This is what it means to practice possibility. The painter Henry Henshey founded the Cape School of Art, a summer school for the study of color and a unique use of the palette knife, eventually establishing what is now known as the Provincetown style. I once asked my parishioner, Henshey's student Hilda Neely, to tell me about the process of constructing her impressionist images. She looked at me utterly baffled and replied, "Kim, that's what I see. I just paint what I see." In the same vein, someone once recognized Pablo Picasso on a train and asked him why he didn't paint people the way they really are. Can you imagine? Picasso had no idea what he was talking about. The man took out his wallet and showed him a photo of his wife. Picasso responded, "Isn't she rather small and flat?" Artists practice possibility. Michelangelo believed that a beautiful statue lived inside every block of stone. His work, he said, was to chip away at the extraneous debris. And do you know Liesl Mueller's Monet Refuses the Operation? This is a beautiful poem. Here you go. "Doctor, you say there are no halos around the streetlights in Paris, and what I see is an aberration caused by old age and affliction. I tell you, it has taken me all my life to arrive at the vision of gas lamps as angels, to soften the blur and finally banish the edges you regret I don't see, to learn that the line I called the horizon does not exist, and sky and water so long apart are the same state of being. 54 years before I could see Rouen Cathedral is built of parallel shafts of sun. And now you want to restore my youthful errors, fixed notions of top and bottom, the illusion of three-dimensional space, wisteria separate from the bridge it covers? What can I say to convince you the Houses of Parliament dissolve night after night to become the fluid dream of the Thames? I will not return to a universe of objects that don't know each other. as if islands were not the lost children of one great continent. The world is flux, and light becomes what it touches, becomes water, lilies on water, above and below water becomes lilac and mauve and yellow and white and cerulean lamps. Small fists passing sunlight so quickly to one another that it would take long, streaming hair inside my brush to catch it, to paint the speed of life. Our weighted shapes, these verticals, burn to mix with air and change our bones, skin, clothes to gases. Doctor, if you could only see how heaven pulls earth into its arms and how infinitely the heart expands to claim this world, blue vapor without end. Yes, the artists have the corner on this perspective. But all of us can practice seeing this way, practice remembering our deep interconnectedness, asking ourselves, what assumptions am I making that are limiting what I see? When we feel stuck in problem solving, we can practice possibility. I literally say to myself, Kim, get out of the box. Get out of the box. What possibility lies outside the box in your life? When the legendary Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall retired, he was asked about his proudest accomplishment. His proudest accomplishment, his answer, I did the best with what I had. Can you imagine? All that bending the long arc of the moral universe toward justice. Yet his pride was not in his successes, but in trying his best. Can we aspire to practice that possibility? Not focused on traditional markers of accomplishment, but on bringing the best we can to what life brings, whatever life brings. You know that one of my go-to phrases is, pay attention. When our senses are open, when our hearts and minds and hands are open, so much is possible. Ben Zander, the storied conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, tells this story. From 1926 to 1939, Eugene Leonard played the viola for the great Polish quartet in Vienna. When he came to America, he coached the Juilliard String Quartet and performed for 39 years with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. He is the only player ever to be invited to join without an audition by the legendary conductor Sergei Koussevitzky. Many of Boston's finest musicians consider Leonard a mentor. When Leonard visited Ben Zander's class at the New England Conservatory, Ben asked him, how can you bear to play under conductors who know so much less than you do? And this was Leonard's reply. One year, during my very first year playing with the BSO, Koussevitzky was conducting a Bach piece and having a terrible time getting the results that he wanted. Fortunately, the great French conductor, Nadia Boulanger, was in town and happened to be sitting in on the rehearsal. Koussevitzky seized the opportunity to extricate himself from the awkward and embarrassing situation and called out to her, Nadia, please, will you come up here and conduct? I want to go to the back of the hall to see how it sounds. Mademoiselle Boulanger stepped up, spoke briefly to the orchestra, and conducted the musicians through the passage flawlessly. Leonard continued, "Ever since then, in every rehearsal, I've been waiting for the conductor to say, 'Leonard, you come up here and conduct. I want to go to the back of the hall and hear how it sounds.' It is now 43 years since this happened," he says, "and it is less and less likely that I'll be asked. But in the meantime, I haven't had a single dull moment in rehearsal as I sit wondering, what would I say to the orchestra should I suddenly be called on to lead?" This is how we stay alive to possibility. Pay attention. Don't be dissuaded from the mystery and quirkiness and shiny, waiting for us to reveal it from beneath the dull. Here's one final story about possibility. It's an old story I've called before. It's called The Rabbi's Gift. A monastery in Europe had fallen on hard times. It was part of a once great Christian order, but as the result of religious persecution in the 17th and 18th century, the order was slowly becoming extinct. There were only 5 remaining monks living in the mother house, the abbot and 4 brothers, all of them over 70 years old. In the woods surrounding the monastery, there was a little hut the rabbi from the nearby town used for a retreat. One day, the abbot set out to visit his friend and ask for advice about how he might save his beloved faith tradition. The rabbi welcomed him. "I know how it is," he commiserated wholeheartedly. "The spirit has gone out of the people. Almost no one comes to shul anymore." Together, they wept a little, they read parts of the Torah, and they spoke of deep things. When it came time for the abbot to return home, the 2 men embraced. "I'm sorry, I have no advice for you," said the rabbi. "I can only tell you this: the Messiah is among you." The abbot pondered his friend's words and back at the monastery shared them with his brothers. "Do you suppose the abbot is the Messiah?" they wondered. "Certainly he has led us for so long. Or is it Brother Thomas? He's a holy man. What of Brother Elrod? So crotchety, but then again, very wise." And so on. And of course, the rabbi didn't mean me. But suppose he did. As the old monks deeply considered the news that the Holy One was among them, they began treating one another with extraordinary respect on the off chance they were interacting with the Messiah. And just in case each monk himself might be the Messiah, each began to treat himself with extraordinary respect. The forest surrounding the monastery was beautiful, and townspeople occasionally came to picnic there and to wander the old paths that led to the dilapidated chapel. The deep regard in which each of the monks held the others began to permeate the atmosphere. And enchanted, people came to visit more frequently, bringing neighbors and friends. Some spoke with the monks, some began rebuilding the chapel. Eventually, some decided to join the order. And after not too many years, the monastery became a thriving order once again, thanks to the rabbi's gift, thanks to the practice of possibility. Beloved spiritual companions, what would it mean in our lives to say, I am going to cast my lot with the possible, to be proffered a maybe and lean in to yes. Look for the boat. Pay attention. Open hearts, open minds, open hands. We will see how heaven pulls the earth into its arms and how infinitely the heart expands to claim this world. May we practice possibility. Amen.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to part 2 of Andrew Sneak's opera into Arlington Street Church while Mark David is away and not looking. Our song this week is by a contemporary of the last piece we did, Strauss's Morgen. This is Hugo Wolf's Der Genesene an die Hoffnung. If you can say that 5 times fast, you get a special prize. Just to give you a little bit of context about this incredible work, this is another late 19th century German poet paired with a 19th century German composer. Hugo Wolf was a self-taught genius who was thrown out of conservatory in Vienna for being considered what we'd call in German ein troublemaker. He was roommates with the famed Gustav Mahler, who would go on to conduct the New York Philharmonic, and he would have been diagnosed modern day with either manic depression or bipolar disorder. We're not entirely certain. He would go months and months without writing a song and then would just wake up one afternoon and write 6 in the span of 3 hours. And he especially loved the poetry of Eduard Mörike, who wrote Der Genesene an die Hoffnung's words. He started out as a Lutheran minister, had an affair, and never quite got over the guilt of it. And his poetry is obsessed with the idea of redemption and light versus dark and desire versus dogma, which Hugo Wolf found fascinating. And with all that in mind, this is Der Genesene an die Hoffnung.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Your opera secret is safe with us. Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. It's up to us, and our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, our building, and our beloved spiritual community. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. This month's beneficiaries are the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, an international order of queer clown nuns who pledge to promulgate universal joy and eliminate stigmatic guilt. Their ministry is to serve through education, entertainment, and activism. Thank you for your generosity. Prompt for Tea with the Ministers asked what gifts came out of the pandemic. Unfortunately, I have a pesky job that keeps me from attending these teas, but I like to play along at home, and maybe you do too. I bet there were some of you who thought of pandemic babies, new additions to families, maybe even yours, who bring joy, wonder, and sleepless nights to parents. There are some of these pandemic babies who are now part of Arlington Street. Perhaps they're even on this Zoom or in the sanctuary today. Well, it came to me that I'm a pandemic baby. After decades of living in Chicago and only visiting Arlington Street when I happened to be back in my hometown, I am one of several of us older babies who now call this community our spiritual home. Of all the ways the pandemic has loosened or even severed social connections, Arlington Street figured out how to maintain and build relationships, not just despite, but in many ways because of the pandemic's challenges. I have heard from several of you who have built real relationships and friendships with other congregants during these past few years. I've also been lucky to find these connections with my siblings in the transformation team for racial justice, the coffee hour breakout room gatherings, and the worship team, of which I'm a new member. What alchemy to weave straw into the gold of friendships, community, love. Now, I'm just a baby, but I'm pretty sure this is something special. And that's one reason why I share my time, talent, and treasure with Arlington Street Church. Please take a moment now to join me in giving to our beloved spiritual community and filling our virtual collection plate. You can give online by scanning the QR code in the order of service, go to ascboston.org, text your gift, or Venmo at Arlington Street. You may also mail in a check or use the envelopes in the pews, which can be handed to Reverend Kim or any of our ushers after the service. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, Hyunju. There are weekly gatherings on Zoom for loving kindness meditation, poetry, yoga, and writing. In addition, tonight at 6 o'clock, zooming in from her kitchen in Pennsylvania, it's Vegan Cooking with Jenny, the original Great Arlington Street baking show. We'll be making gnocchi and pesto with spinach and tomato. The ingredients list is at ascboston.org, or just come to hang out with people who love to cook and eat. On Tuesday evening, Both our governing board, the Prudential Committee, and our transformation team for racial justice will gather on Zoom. Speaking of the transformation team for racial justice, we have been completing the application for ASC to participate in the Among phase of Beloved Conversations. If selected, Arlington Street will focus on anti-racist change within our congregation starting this fall. Think possibility. Please share your input by taking a short survey. The link can be found in the chat, in Snapshot, or email transformation@ascboston.org. Every Wednesday at 4 o'clock, Reverend Kim and Reverend Beth host a tea party with a conversation prompt. This week's prompt is, tell us a story about a time you were brave. And back in person, for those of you in the Boston area who love to sing, come join the choir. Mark David holds rehearsals at the church on Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock. No experience necessary. Looking ahead, on Saturday, April 29th, please plan to join this month's Share the Plate partners, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, in the Arlington Street Zoom room. It's going to be an evening of Nuns N Fun. Please save the date. Get yourself registered at ascboston.org and spread the word. And now, the sisters would like to extend their invitation and tell us a bit more about this fun event.
Oh, hello, it's me, Sister Light of Christ, your abbess with the Boston Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence for 2023. And we are so excited to join you and the other members and friends of Boston's historic Arlington Street Church.
Come play bingo and spin the virtual raffle wheel for heavenly prizes. Enjoy surprise guest performers and hang out on Zoom with your friends and the friends you haven't even met yet.
All are welcome to welcome all, and we want everyone to attend. Get your tickets here.
Proceeds from ticket sales will help fund social justice programs sponsored by Arlington Street and restoration projects for our centuries-old building.
Let's make this a habit. We'll see you there.
Does anybody else feel a little bit underdressed now? Information and Zoom room links for virtual gatherings are at ascboston.org. To attend any of them, you don't have to be a member. You don't have to turn on your video or talk if you don't want to, and they're all free. All are always welcome. Following the service today, everyone is welcome to join the virtual coffee hour. If you'd like to participate, please answer yes to the breakout room invitation that will appear on your screen. Those of you in the sanctuary, you'll need to go to the Zoom room before the postlude begins. Today, Reverend Kim and Reverend Beth will be at the end of the center aisle. If you're in person after virtual coffee hour, please come say hello and linger to visit. Thanks to all of you who joined in today's service and to all those who made it possible. Remember, we're all in this together.
Thank you, Marie. It was awesome. Every Christmas Eve, the Boston Gay Men's Chorus closes our services by singing Everything Possible, an anthem to possibility written by my beloved friend and colleague, our community minister for climate justice, Reverend Fred Small. Fred is here today and has offered to hop up and lead us in that. What a treat, Fred. Thank you, dear one. In addition, we have some wonderful news. A beautiful, beautifully illustrated children's book Everything Possible will be released on May 2nd. Fred brought some copies with him in person today. If you'd like to buy a copy for just shy of $20 and have Fred sign it, there's a table set up in the vestibule. He'll be out there with Rachel and Queen Cheryl. Thank you, dear ones. Zoomers, you can pre-order it now from your favorite online bookseller. If you'd like me to send you a signed copy and you're willing to pay $5 extra for shipping, email office@ascboston.org and Fred and I will make that happen. Friends, please join me now in giving Fred a warm welcome.
Please rise in body or in spirit and join me when the chorus comes round. We have cleared off the table, the leftovers saved, washed the dishes and put them away. I have told you a story and tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets its sails to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Some children grow up strong and bold, while some are quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some take it slow, some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, some men love men, some leave every label behind. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible you'll find. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they will give the same back to you. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. Let's sing the chorus one last time. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one, and the only measure and the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. The love you leave behind when you're done. Thank you so much. Beautiful singing.
Friends, before our benediction, I invite those of you in the Zoom room to please reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square. And those of you in the sanctuary to please raise your hands, palms out. Let's send loving kindness to the people to your left and to your right. Send loving kindness to the person on either side of you and to the people on either side of them. Send out love into this beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. And now for our benediction, I invite you to put your hands over your heart in namaste. I bow to the divine in you. From Donna Markova, I will not die an unlived life. I will not live in fear of falling or catching fire. I choose to inhabit my days, to allow my living to open me, to make me less afraid, more accessible, to loosen my heart until it becomes a wing, a torch, a promise. I choose to risk my significance, to live so that which came to me as seed goes to the next as blossom, and that which came to me as blossom goes on as fruit. Let us keep this faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Bless your hearts. I love you. Amen.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.